What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Off the Record. As always, man, we love Off the Record, and you do too, because every single week, I get an email or a DM from one of you guys saying, I got a big ticket in some state doing something, and Off the Record handled it. It's money. It's so great when you guys hit me up and say that Off the Record helped you get out of a jam. They've helped me multiple times. I mean, it was just about a year ago when I was up in Northern California doing Performance Car of the Year. That's where I am right now as you're listening to this. And I got pulled over for allegedly doing 94 and a 70. Jethro Bovingdon was in the car with me and said, mate, there's no way you're getting out of this. My accent for Jethro is perfect, I know. And boy, did I. Off the Record made that thing go poof, like the genie in Aladdin. Gone, baby, gone. It was amazing. Got that text a couple months later saying your case was dismissed. That's why I love Off the Record. They get it done, and they can get it done for you too. Go to offtherecord.com/TST or download the Off the Record app and use code TSTPOD. Either method will get you 10% off all legal services with Off the Record. That's offtherecord.com/TST or code TSTPOD on the Off the Record app. Get 10% off all legal services booked through Off the Record. Man, we love these guys, and we're going to keep talking about them because they do for us and they do for you. Off the Record, because pleading guilty is for suckers. Now, let's get on with the show. On today's episode, folks, it's a crew show. Zach went to an advanced racing school at Spring Mountain, the Ron Fellows Corvette school out there in the desert, and I went on a big road trip from Arizona to California and back, or vice versa, as a matter of fact, 1,200 miles in the Volvo XC60 Polestar engineered. We're going to talk about both and a whole lot more on today's crew show. It's the Smoking Tire Podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the program. All of last week's shows were pre-recorded because Zach and I were traveling this week, so we're back. Zach went to racing school at Spring Mountain, Ron Fellows Racing School.
Yeah.
And I went to the desert also to scout the Arizona Desert Run for Road and Track. Nice little road trip in the Volvo XC60. First off, shout out to our friend Michael Allen Ross for sending us his new book, Porsche Outlaws, with our friend Derek Whitaker's car on the cover.
Yeah.
A car that I have reviewed. I did a video with this car.
What does he call it? Silly car?
Stupid car.
Stupid car.
I think. Yeah, it's like a narrow-bodied turbo. It's like a homemade sort of roof where it's got a turbo motor in it, but it's a narrow-body car, and it's very aggressive, and it is rather dumb, although it drives nicely. If you remember this video I did with this car, I drove it in the rain, and we came upon a guy who had crashed into a ditch.
Yeah, he'd gone off on the right.
Yeah, so that's a fun video. You can go see that.
That's not a car for rain, is it? Derek's car.
I didn't crash into a ditch.
No, I know, but like option, like it's it's big power rear.
Yeah, it was not the same thing. And Derek, who's lovely, has said multiple times, like, you got to drive it again in the dry, and like that would be an educational experience. But as we've learned with videos, there is 0 point to making a video twice with the same car.
True.
It serves no purpose and is a complete waste of time.
I want to drive it up at Good Vibe sometime, just like say hi to him and just go for a little 5-minute.
It's fucking fast. That I very much know. Well, let's start with you.
Sure.
You went to racing school.
I did.
Which, like, did you need racing school? I mean, I know you went because it's fun. It's also tax deductible, as I hope you are well aware.
It is.
It is tax deductible.
My production company needed the write-off.
Yeah.
No, I needed racing school because...
Because I beat you in the GR Corolla when you had the BRZ at the...
As soon as I drove the GR Corolla, I was like, "Oh, this is fucking GTR compared to the Miata I'm driving. The power is there." No, I wanted to go to racing school because when we've done track stuff, which I do less and less frequently, and you do more frequently, I knew that I wanted to work on track driving, but specifically like my threshold braking. Because up in the canyons, like we don't do a lot of super hard braking. It's very flowy.
Nor should you.
You shouldn't.
I mean, if you're doing threshold braking in the canyons, you're kind of driving like an asshole.
Or you're driving way too fast.
Yeah.
So exactly. But when we would go and do a track event, either at a press event or I was just feeling more fish out of water on track days because I do like one a year.
Yeah.
Whereas you with road and track and all the other press launches, like
I do a lot more.
10 a year. Yeah.
It's probably might even be more than that.
Right.
Yeah.
So you get a lot. So I just felt like, all right, the only way to level my skills up a bit is to just go do formal instruction, which I've never really done for road course stuff. I've done drift schools and I've done rally school. But specifically I wanted to work on my brake timing. And I mean, the Spring Mountain experience was fantastic. Like they used Cosworth Toolbox, so we got data overlay. So I was able to go back to the classroom and sit and look at my brake trace, and then look at the pros who are flying, and just see like the first day our curves were inverted. Like I would add braking as I came into the corner because I didn't want to brake too early and slow down too much. But then you're upsetting the balance of the car a ton, and the second day I flipped that around and really worked on it, and it paid off in my speed. It paid off. Like I feel like I went there to learn specific things, and I learned those things.
That's good.
It was great.
A lot of people don't go to these courses and going, I want to learn this, work on this one thing. They, it's I want to get better. Okay, well, we need to spend time seeing where you need to get better. But if you knew where you needed to get better already, that is very helpful.
There were a lot of repeat students.
Yeah.
A lot of people had either done other Spring Mountain programs because they own a Corvette or a CT5, or they had just done schools there, and they some people were doing level 2 again just to work on driving fast and work on their track skills. One guy. Well,
you originally had signed up for level 1 because you hadn't been there before, and that's their sort of requirement.
Correct.
And then when we were out there, we saw Rick Malone. Shout out to him. And I kind of went to the side and I said, Rick, Zach's coming to the school. He does not need to be in level 1. He needs to be in level 2. He's better than level 1. And so you got into level 2.
Correct. And I had to send him a resume email, and he looked at it, and then you talked to him, and I thanked him. The other day, I said, thanks for kind of taking a chance. And he's like, yeah, and you did very well. And he said, but, we've had people in the past where, they would convince us and they get out there and we go, have you driven a car before?
Yeah,
so I totally because like level 2, like your first session out is fast lead follow with, 3 cars following a coach fast. And then they're doing data. Like there's no, are you used to understeer, oversteer? There's none of that's all level 1 or Corvette owner school.
And you could get through level 1 at any school and still suck. Like taking a class does not guarantee you're going to be good. It'll probably make you better. But if you're horrible and you don't really focus on the lessons, like you could finish level 1 at any school and still really suck.
Well, yeah, because a lot of what our job has allowed is us to experience these aspects of driving, many understeer, oversteer, feel many, many, many times. So
so many different cars.
Right. So we speak that language.
Yeah.
But if you are a person who doesn't have our job and you're just getting into performance driving, even if you know those terms, you don't know what the sensations are. You don't know how to react to that stuff. So, yeah, you could come out of level 1 going, oh, well, now I understand the world, but I don't speak the language yet. I mean, people do repeat level 1, or they'll do level 2 over and over again. And so the first day, the field was funny. Like we went out and we did our first day, first lapping sessions, and me and 7 people were really close. We were running 2:12, and the course is 2.5 miles long. And then there were some outliers on the slower side, like 2:35, whatever. Like they're just there to have a good time. And then there's one guy who most people there were dressed in jorts, white hair, like older gentlemen.
It's a room full of Corvette owners.
A lot of Corvette owners. A couple people that me and one other person were in my age. And then, but there's this guy in the back who's just got a low hat. He's got a shirt that says Africa, and he's got a goatee. Didn't say very much. And when we get back after the first couple sessions,
it says Africa and nothing else.
It's got an elephant on it. I don't know if it was the band or he went big game hunting.
Right.
And based on the rest of his clothes, could
It's
go either way.
I have sent food to Africa or I have taken things from Africa, and it's your job to figure out which.
100%. So we get back to the board, and we're all looking at our times, and it's like, 2:12, like we're all close. Shout out to this guy, his name's Guy. He's a fan, New Jersey firefighter, like awesome human being.
This is the guy with the Africa shirt?
No.
Oh.
Me and Guy are like, we're real close.
Okay.
You know? And then we see a name named Chip. Mm-hmm. Chip is 7 seconds ahead of everybody else.
Wow.
Because if you have a name like Chip,
Yeah.
you've probably raced some cars. So the whole first day, he didn't say much. I figured out it's the guy with the Africa shirt on. And the second day, he's running 2:05, and I just go, Chip, what is your driving background? And he goes, oh, well, and like as soon as you hear that voice.
Won 24 hours of Daytona, 1964.
No, he goes, well, race legends for a while. Now I've run a track event. We do 10 events a year.
Yeah.
I have a Hendrix Motorsport time attack car. Used to have a Corvette.
What's this guy doing?
To the point, he is really fucking fast, but he's still a few seconds off the instructors. So he's there to work on that, look at data, and figure out why is he still a few seconds off the instructors. But he was just such a character, like the amazing deep Southern voice.
Yeah.
And then he runs like 10 track events a year.
Yeah, this is the same. It's the Corvette equivalent of the old white guy in the stock Evo. That just, he's got a stock Evo 9 on slicks, and he's 4 seconds faster than everybody in the autocross.
It was great.
Nerdy looking guy. But yeah, did you ask him if he murdered elephants or likes Toto?
No, I didn't. Okay. He was really focused on his driving and was just like he wasn't mean. He just wasn't like super chatty.
Yeah.
But he was really interested in the data, and it was wild to see him talk to the pro and go, "Oh wow, you're on the gas so much earlier here," and I was like, well, if you're not on the gas in those places, how are you running 2:05 and a half?
Yeah. Maybe his entry speed was great.
Might have been super high.
Yeah, I mean, he might have been super good at late braking or whatever.
And I found out I didn't know what a Hendrix Motorsport time attack car was.
Yeah.
So a friend of ours who is very involved in NASCAR, he's like, there was an era where NASCAR started limiting how much testing you could do. And all of a sudden, Hendrix started building time attack cars to sell and also started doing really well at road courses. So it wasn't that interesting.
That's really funny. Yeah. That's like, I feel like that's like the Valkyrie and this Adrian Newey RB17 car is how they get around the money limits in F1. They hire people to work on these crazy street cars or track day cars. And hey, while you're at the office today, would you just like take a look at this little bit of spoiler we've got here?
Right. Or maybe the floor is the same, and they're like, "Thanks for the floor, we're gonna borrow." But exactly.
Yeah. Oh, so there's so you could buy a NASCAR to use as time attack.
So when he said that, when I heard the name Hendrick, I'm like, they don't make anything slow.
Yeah, of course.
So now I understand why Chip is so fucking fast.
That's funny. I think that's what that guy bought. The guy I know at Thermal who bought 6 NASCARs. That's probably what he bought.
Whoa.
Yeah, he this guy's like fucking made of money, but he wanted to go out to Thermal with his buddies. He's a young guy. He wanted to go out with his friends, and he didn't. He's got he has a Valkyrie. He has like all this crazy, track day kind of shit, but he can't just like give that to his friends, and they certainly can't go out and like wheel to wheel race. So he bought 6 NASCARs. And he put LS3s and 6-speed gearboxes in them. So they're just like dead to nuts reliable, but they're fucking NASCARs. They got open headers and shit. Whoa. And they just go, and he put like funny fake businesses on the liveries.
That's great.
So yeah, and they go, his friends just go out and race them. He said it's the most fun thing
I bet it's so fun.
Yeah.
Visceral AF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how much time did you gain in the 2-day school? Folks, I got to take a quick break because GetMaineLobster.com sent me some lobsters. Oh boy, did they. Man, I want to give a special shout out to a sponsor that's all about bringing top-notch seafood right to my door. It's GetMaineLobster.com. And if you haven't heard about them yet, you are in for a real treat. Get Maine Lobster is celebrated as the #1 lobster delivery service in the USA by Good Housekeeping. And with over 16,000 five-star ratings from happy customers, it's clear that they know how to deliver on the flavor and the freshness. As we gear up for National Lobster Day on September 25th, that is a real thing, National Lobster Day. There's no better way to celebrate than with the freshest lobster tails, wild caught off the coast of Maine and flash frozen to preserve their incredible taste. And I'm not kidding, folks. These lobster tails are fuego. I like them on the grill. A lot of butter, a lot of garlic, maybe a little dip in sauce. Sometimes I do a little hollandaise homemade if I can get it right without breaking the yolks. But I love a lobster tail. And you know what's great? My wife, bless her heart, is actually allergic to seafood, which means twice the lobster for me. She can't eat lobster. Boy, is she missing out, but I can. So I got this box of lobster from GetMaineLobster.com, and I am crushing it. So whether you're planning a special date night, hosting a gathering, craving some premium seafood, Get Maine Lobster makes it incredibly easy to enjoy top-quality lobster right in the comfort of your own home. Think about it as an ingredient. Do you do a lobster mac and cheese, lobster lasagna, lobster maybe like a pasta? I realized those 3 dishes were all pasta-based. How about a surf and turf? You could do a surf and turf. I love a lobster tail on a big meaty steak. Here's the best part. To make this National Lobster Day truly memorable, Get Maine Lobster is offering an exclusive deal. Use promo code TIRE at checkout and get 15% off all orders store-wide. That's right, 15% off all orders store-wide with promo code TIRE at GetMaineLobster.com. They're bumping it up, dude. Last week was 10%. This week's 15%. They have bumped it up, so take advantage. Don't miss out on this fantastic offer. Go to GetMaineLobster.com. Use promo code TIRE and dive into that deliciousness today. We're also brought to you today by DeleteMe. Do you know somebody who's been scammed, had their identity stolen, harassed, stalked, doxxed, any of those internet creep terms? I'll tell you what's happened to me. Robocalls, right? The robocalls just seem out of control. And that's sort of low level, hacking, stalking, whatever. Your identity, your phone number, your contact information has been compromised. It's been sold to people, and they're using it to robocall you and robo-texting. Oh, yikes. And more than you think, right? It's out there. Your name, your info, your social, your home address, your family members' info, they're all being compiled by data brokers and sold online. When you buy stuff online, when you enter your personal information, your credit card information into a website, those people then sell that data. That's how it works. And anyone on the web can buy your private details. This can lead to identity theft, harassment, spam calls, etc. But now you can protect your privacy with DeleteMe, right? DeleteMe is a subscription service that removes your personal info from hundreds of data brokers. All you have to do is sign up and provide DeleteMe with exactly what information you want deleted, and their experts take it from there. DeleteMe will then send you a regular personalized privacy report showing what info they found, where they found it, and what they removed. And DeleteMe is not just a one-time service. DeleteMe is always working for you, constantly monitoring and removing the personal information that you don't want on the internet. To put it simply, DeleteMe does all the hard work of wiping you and your family's personal information from data broker websites. So take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for DeleteMe, now at a special discount for TST listeners. You can get 20% off your DeleteMe plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/tire and use promo code TIRE at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/tire and enter code TIRE at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/tire and use code TIRE. And now back to the show.
I shaved 4.5 seconds.
Well, that's a lot.
In 2 days.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It was the second day was a really good jump. Like I slept well, and I really thought about like the brake stuff, and that's what I applied. Like looking at two things were helpful. The data, the breaks in between sessions. All we did was look at data. Mm-hmm. So we did a lot of driving. It was like 9 track sessions total, plus 2 autocross, which we'll get to. And the only time we took breaks was to look at data. So looking at data and then riding with the coach I rode with was Peyton, young dude. He runs the Radical School. And watching where he slowed down and how he did it and how he connected like the bus stop I was fucking up really helped. So all of that contributed to me just being able to shave all that time. So I was the 3rd fastest at the end of the day. 15 people, I think it was. 15, 16 people. And I knew I wasn't going to catch Chip. I just I wanted to, but I knew that was not happening. And then one guy like squeaked past like in the last session. We both set our fastest laps, but he beat me by like, I think half a second. But I beat Guy, which was important because I was like, I got to beat the fan.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, we need to get fucking some credibility here.
You know, like he's a hero because he's a fireman and went down to the World Trade Center on 9/11. But I beat him in a race that made him feel bad.
Priorities. Definitely priorities.
But autocross, I'm not really that into. I'm like, okay.
Autocross is fun if it's the only kind of motorsport that's available on any given day.
Yeah.
Like, I only like autocross because when we go to press launches, they give us track time, but they'll never let us time the laps on the full track.
Right.
Because they don't want fucking these guys having crashes.
Good idea.
So they'll set up an autocross, and they'll have everybody run. And so it's the only thing we do with a stopwatch.
It's the only competitive thing.
Yeah. So
true.
they put a stopwatch there, and I'm like fucking laser focused.
Yeah.
But it's
you're good at it. You're pretty good.
I'm pretty decent at autocross.
You're usually with the instructors, the people who set the thing up.
I will at the last road and track event. I beat the instructors at NCM in autocross. Yeah, I tied Tommy Kendall.
Whoa.
Yeah,
that's
which
rad.
Which is a G move.
That is a great moment.
But our game. Me and Tommy played a game which was we had to do it cold. One lap. That's all we got. We didn't get to sight it. Yeah. So, I think if we each got 10 laps, he would definitely have beaten me. Straight up, I'm unquestionable.
But you cold read it.
We cold read
Similar.
it, and I beat him. I beat him by a 10th on a cold read. Yeah.
That is very...
Yeah. He would have 100% fucking beaten me anything in a car given the chance to see where you're going. You know what I mean?
But that's tough, like cold reading the thing and not being able to do it again. I mean, we did.
I beat the instructors on a cold read, though. They knew the track, and I beat them on a cold read.
That's interesting.
I'm pretty good at autocross.
You are, but they should still beat you if they've done it more than once.
I guess.
Wow. Maybe they're not good at autocross.
I don't know.
Well, to the point, like when we went to autocross, Chip was not in first place. Mm-hmm. Chip's great on the road course.
It's a different skill.
It is a totally different skill.
Yeah, autocross is some real nerdy shit. You have to be really comfortable with you're so much more likely to get wheel spin.
Yes.
And it's inches. Everywhere it's inches. And so you kind of need to know, you don't take lines the same way you would on a road course. It's not the same skill.
Yeah.
You have to drive so clean.
Yes.
Autocross is so clean.
Slip is really bad.
Yeah.
And you lose way more time. I know slip is bad on a road course too.
Yeah.
But if you're doing a 30-second autocross, if you lose 0.2 of a second, the percentage is a lot.
Yeah, and also gear changes make an enormous difference. So many people try to do autocross in automatic in these Corvettes.
Don't do that. No.
Nope. You're fucking up.
No, this course was all second gear.
Yeah.
Like you launch, you shift to 2, and you don't shift again. Yeah, and you don't need to. We can talk about the cars in a minute. But so first day autocross, I was like 7th. Mm-hmm. And they call out our time. And it was autocross practice. They're like, tomorrow you're going to have a competition with the whole class. So you just kind of learn the course. And I didn't really care. Guy was, I think, the fastest or second fastest. He's really good at autocross. Day 2, the whole class lines up, and they won't tell us our time until back in the classroom. Mm-hmm. They'll only tell you if your second run was better or worse.
Okay.
We got 2 runs, right? So my first run was whatever. Felt imperfect, of course. And then the second run, they're like, oh, good improvement, 3/4 of a second better than your first run. And I was like, well, yesterday I ran a 43, and the other guys were running 40s. So great, I'm at 42.
Yeah.
And so we get back and they show the time, or they start reading the times, from slowest to fastest. And they get to like third and they go, Chip, third. And we're like, ooh, wow, Chip got third. Second place, Guy. And Guy's like, oh, fuck. And he knew he'd shifted by accident. He'd fucked up. First place.
Guys, big news from MyBookie. It is their 10th anniversary, and they are rolling out that red carpet for big bettors. You can bet big and bet confident with risk-free Thursdays. That's right, risk-free Thursdays. On Thursdays, if you bet big and you win, you get the money. But if you bet and you lose on risk-free Thursday, they wipe your slate. How about that? It's crazy. If your boosted bet doesn't hit, you'll get your money back. Weekly, no sweat, win-win bets all season long. For those of you who've been playing with MyBookie, they've got something for you too, a brand new loyalty rewards program in MyBookie Plus. It's simple. The more you play, the more you earn, and as you progress through the tiers, you can unlock exclusive promotions, epic giveaways, and cash back in your account. Whether it's an underdog upset, a backdoor cover, or a shootout between two Lombardi contenders, MyBookie is here to help you cash in on every single moment. If you guys have some downtime, perhaps on a lunch break, you do what I do. You hop on MyBookie. You can take your sports knowledge and look at this week's games and turn your knowledge into cash. Sign up now at mybookie.ag and use my promo code TIRE to cash in on a double deposit bonus. You can literally double the cash in your account before you even place your first bet. But don't wait on it. It's only available for a limited time. Turn that sports knowledge into cash at MyBookie and make your season a winning season.
First place, Zach Clapman.
Very nice.
And I was aghast, and Guy knew I wasn't into autocross, and he looked at me like, how the fuck do you do that?
Did you feel like you had an amazing run?
No. I felt like I had a way better run.
Yeah.
It felt... I think I've learned from you and Travis Okulski when we were at Sonoma once, like how hard you can jam on the brakes at times. Like there's a lot of very violent movement occasionally in autocross that you would never do on a road course. Yeah. And then there's moments of subtlety for sure. Mm-hmm. And I think my run felt aggressive, but I was shocked and very excited.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really good. I've run at the thing where I beat Tommy by a tenth. We were driving C8s. It was at NCM, and so they had a C8.
Right.
But I've also done it in like other like I think front wheel drive autocross is really, really hard because managing wheel spin at low speeds is a real problem in front wheel drive cars, particularly turbocharged front wheel drive cars,
while also maximizing acceleration.
Right. Yeah. It's just that's really, really, really challenging. I think rear wheel drive cars that have a lot of grip, like the C8. I'm not trying to take anything fucking away from you being first. That's amazing.
No, we're all in the same car.
But just in general, I think it's a more pleasant experience, and it's a more like optimized autocross experience to have a rear wheel drive mid-engine car versus a front wheel drive turbocharged car. Yeah, it's much, much harder.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same as driving a front-wheel drive car at speed at all.
Right, but on a road course, if you got a 300 horsepower front-wheel drive car, if you're driving it clean, you're not getting wheel spin.
Right.
Whereas in autocross, you're in second gear, maybe even first gear, you get so much wheel spin.
Yeah.
And it's like a parking lot, so rubber isn't laid down, the same kind of way.
Yeah.
So
and if they use the chalk, it's a little dusty and stuff.
Yeah, like the Hyundai Elantra ends at autocross were way harder than Corvettes.
Yeah, that's what we ran on. Oh, we all went to the Hyundai launch,
we went
right?
to the Hyundai
Sonoma,
launch,
and that's where we did. I think I was just behind you and Travis, and I was fine with that.
Yeah.
I think I got third, and I was like, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's that's great. Third fastest overall and fastest in autocross.
I was really happy with my results, and obviously I was there to learn things, not compete. And then when I started seeing, I was like close, and they start timing. The Corvettes were great, and I was gonna say, at the first day I was like, these are super reliable. I mean, they have 250 of the things. They say the C8 holds up way better than the 7 or the 6.
That's not surprising. It's got more cooling and the automatic gearboxes.
Rick was saying that the C6s had cooling issues, and they told GM, can you fix that? And they brought him the C7, and they went, yeah, they didn't fix the cooling issue. But the C8s have been really good, and they have 250 of them. They have some Z06s. They're going to start having classes for that. So the first day I was like, man, these cars are really reliable. And then on the second day, I went through 3 cars.
You went through 3 cars?
Well,
what do you mean?
The blue car I started with, I warped the rotors on this first session. Like I didn't do anything different, but obviously I get on the pedal and I feel huge vibration. And they go, "Oh, yeah, it happens. You know, it's 100 degrees out. Like we'll just swap the car." Second car though, mid-session I get an orange warning that says trans temp. And I'm shifting like below red line, but I pull into pit. I say, "Hey, I got this warning." And they say, "Okay, just shift 500 RPM earlier. Should be fine." And I do that and I get the warning within like half a lap. And then so they swap the car again. And they went, "Yeah, it's happening a little bit." I mean, mostly these things are really robust, and they're just Stingrays with Z51 packages, and they do pads and fluid, and then they're off and running. But it was just funny that like the trans problem was interesting. I mean,
look, these cars get the shit kicked out of them.
A lot. They do.
They
a
don't
lot
leave
of miles.
the track. It's every mile they're driven. It's
hard.
And
it was
by
100
randoms,
by random
shared.
people.
Yeah.
It was 108 degrees the first day I was there. Track like ambient, and we didn't. They didn't say we got to take a break for the cars. They're like, "This is our schedule. We have 250 cars to pull from. Like if it explodes, we give you a new one."
Yeah.
Some guy's transmission blew up. That caused a mess.
I mean, there's a reason that school is $5,100. I mean, it's
right. It was actually cheaper when I booked it. I think it's gone up.
Well, maybe it's because they got to replace a lot of
transmissions. I don't know. Yeah, but the car was it was really impressive. It's a good.
When you went out with the pro, was he shifting manually?
We all did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we all shifted manually. You don't shift a ton, but what he did that was impressive is he drove one-handed most of the time.
Yeah.
But super smooth, and he wasn't doing it to show off. He
had a radio probably.
Well,
right?
That was impressive. The whole time they do lead follow, they have radio one hand. So with me in the car, they don't need 2 hands. But it was more that he could point with one hand, like here's where I'm braking, and then his input would be like not even holding the wheel. He's like one-handed, just petting a dog.
Yeah,
it was really incredible.
When I do those road and track events, I drive thousands of miles one-handed holding a fucking radio, and my arms hurt so bad afterwards. So bad.
They all had huge bicep.
Yeah.
One huge bicep.
It's a very, like, the tendon here gets super fucked up. After this road trip, I woke up this morning and I covered my entire left arm from here, from just above my elbow all the way to my knuckles, covered in that fucking CBD cream, and the back of this hand too. Because it was just so much fucking driving.
Does your arm have the munchies now?
Dude, I'm very impressed at that CBD cream. I thought topical CBD was such horse shit. It's like you cannot absorb CBD through your skin. Turns out
you can.
You fucking absolutely can.
So we use the Hans devices that you wear with like the 3-point belt.
Yeah.
How do you feel about those? It's my first time using one.
Well, I've never had a crash with one. I'm sure if I had a crash while wearing one, I'd probably appreciate it. But I hate them. I think they're so uncomfortable, and I think they make me look like a fucking idiot on video. I never want to wear one for a video because I just look so stupid with it on.
Because they kind of press into your back, right?
Yeah, they're terrible. I know people that swear by them, and I'm sure 100% that if you get into a crash with one, your odds are better than without one. But I do not like them.
I mean, I didn't mind wearing it for the safety, but at the end of the second day, my back was my back was sore where it was, and then my back was also sore from bracing myself from high braking a lot. Racing seats and harnesses take so much effort off your body.
Yeah,
because these cars only had like the second tier seats. You really need the highest level sports seat. Like if you're going to track your Corvette, you get something that has the deepest bolster in the world. Yeah, because I was doing a lot of bracing with elbow, holding with knees, a lot of that stuff.
Dude, that fucking Mustang Dark Horse they sent us for P. Cody, the car will pull 1.3 Gs and has the base like rental car seats in it. The fucking seats like collapse at like 0.8 Gs.
Whoa.
So you're just hanging on the wheel. It was crazy.
Why would they do that?
Yeah, but a car with a proper racing seat and harnesses, now you're steering with your fingertips.
Right.
Now your arms are just just easy. That's nice.
Yeah. You can put a lot more focus on how you're driving.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that was the school. They didn't give me a discount. I didn't do it for free. Like I paid the money, but I was really impressed with everything about it.
Yeah, it's good.
Highly recommend.
Good school, good track. Rick Malone, the G. And I think those Corvettes make good school cars.
I think so.
I mean, they're good for learning. They don't have any like bad habits dynamically.
Right.
They're fast enough where it feels like you're having a real good time and going fast.
I was going 125 on the back straight, and that was, and then you're coming into a bus stop at like 90-ish, where you're doing a lot of fast work. Like you are not.
What tires were on them?
PS4s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they said that they can get 4 like classes out of those tires. Like they last a really long time.
That's pretty
even
good.
with the heat and stuff.
Yeah,
and you can feel the weight of the car move around. Like it's soft if you were going to build a race car, but if you want to learn how weight shifts on a mid-engine car, it's a great educational tool.
Mm-hmm. Cool, good times.
Yeah.
Well, I did like 1,300 miles in a Volvo XC60, Polestar engineered.
Not the hybrid, right?
It is a hybrid.
You did the hybrid.
Plug-in hybrid,
okay.
Yeah. But it's got the Polestar engineered suspension and brakes, which I don't recommend. I did not like it as much as I liked the other one I drove previously, which had the air suspension and the wool seats. Now, it was $10,000 cheaper.
Wow.
One might think the Polestar engineered is that's
thing?
I mean, it's on that photo on the right, the gray one, bottom left. Yeah, that's it. That's the exact car. One might think that the Polestar engineered is the highest level one, the most expensive. It's not. The one with the air suspension and all the comfort shit is higher. So this thing was like 63 grand, and the one with the air suspension was like 70.
I remember
It was expensive, but the ride is much different. I did not. This was too stiff for an XC60. We don't need it to be this stiff. But other than the ride, lovely car. Powerful, especially if you have battery power. The combined output is like 455 horsepower, so the fucking thing goes. And even when the battery is depleted and you're just running on gasoline, it's still pretty quick. Sustained, we're out in the open desert, so, sustained 100 mile an hour kind of passes, effortless cruising at 90 plus. There's like no steering feel, but the handling and the braking are all very good and predictable, and the seats are super comfortable. It had the Bowers and Wilkins stereo, which was nice. The CarPlay integration was great. It was the previous gen from the XC90. I like that. I like that system. It's a good balance between a lot of tech and it not getting too much in your way. Although there's definitely some like nanny stuff. But for most people, it just doesn't matter. I haven't put the review up of the car on Instagram. I was going to put it up later today. But we went to some really interesting places. I mean, I don't love Scottsdale, but it's like we had to, we started, the trip's going to start at the Radford School. So Scottsdale's the nicest place to stay. So we stayed at the Sanctuary, which was great. We went to Taliesin West, which is Frank Lloyd Wright's home and architecture school. There's a photo. If you go to my photos, scroll the one on the cave there. Yeah, so that's this cave we hiked, but scroll to the right. So this is the living room of it. It's incredibly sick. Frank Lloyd Wright was a complete goddamn lunatic, as many sort of savant people are, but he was unbelievable architect. And this place, Taliesin West, is like really worth your 30 minutes if you're in Phoenix or Scottsdale. Super fucking cool. Sedona, never been before. It's unbelievably beautiful. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, just go back to that photo of this is called the Subway Cave we hiked to. I mean, holy fucking shit, is that extraordinary.
Red rocks, green trees. Nice.
Unbelievable. That was in Boynton Canyon. We stayed at this place called Enchantment that was just super beautiful. It had, if you scroll like 2 pictures or 3 pictures to the right, it's like it had like one of the best hotel pools I've ever seen. Like, look at that. That's just rad.
It's a good view. It's like you're in the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. A lot of that sort of woo-woo vortex energy shit happens in Sedona.
Yeah,
which is kind of silly, but okay, whatever. It was unbelievably beautiful. Went to Flagstaff.
Right,
Never been to Flagstaff either. It wasn't like it's a very like It's one of those towns. It reminds me sort of like Asheville, North Carolina, maybe like a little bit like Knoxville, but like it's Patagonia, fucking everything.
Well, it's in the mountains, right? It's like 4,000 feet up or something like that. Yeah,
it's almost 7.
Oh, okay.
It's up there. They get a lot of snow. But we had this unbelievable meal at a place called Atria that I did not know food like that was available in Flagstaff. It was world class, absolutely world class, so good. And then we circled around back down to the Valley Ho in Scottsdale, which is like my favorite hotel in Arizona, mainly because when you go into that hotel, you all of a sudden are not in fucking Scottsdale anymore. You're in Palm Springs. It's great. But the car is there was like a huge range in changes in efficiency depending on certain I mean, obviously, when you have battery power, you can drive infinitely. It's 35 miles of range. So I had it for 3 days here before we left and used 0 gas. And then we very quickly depleted the battery and then didn't charge it again for 1,300 miles and then got home and charged it. You know what I mean? And so the flexibility of the plug-in hybrid for so many people cannot be beat. You could drive this thing for 6 months or 8 months, never use gas, and then take the same car on the road trip, have reasonably decent efficiency. We averaged between 22 and 32 miles per gallon on gas only, depending on conditions.
How big is the battery pack?
In kilowatts?
Yeah,
I think maybe like 13 or something.
Because you were also going up. I was thinking like the RAV4 hybrid we have gets like 38 miles per gallon, but you were going up and down mountains.
Mountains, and also we were driving fast.
Okay.
I mean, between here and Arizona, and then once you're in Arizona, highway speeds and these rural desert speeds, you're talking about 85 miles an hour. There were some sections that Hannah drove where she drove like 15, 20 mile an hour slower than me. Mm-hmm. And that was when we were like 32 miles a gallon.
Got it, okay.
And when I was driving, it was like 24 or 25.
Yeah, if you're hustling in the mountains. Okay.
Yeah.
The battery pack is 18.8 kilowatt hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not like the most efficient battery pack ever, but it's fine. I mean, it's totally fine.
Well, it's how you were driving it too, so yeah.
It doesn't charge very fast. Like even on my home level 2, to charge that battery pack took like 5 hours, which is slower than it would take with a pure EV, because a pure EV has DC fast charging, which you're not using at home, but it can just accept current faster. The Volvo does not have DCFC capability, so it only has level 2. So I don't know exactly what the peak power intake is, but it's definitely less than other EVs we've charged. But still, it would work overnight. We'd be fine. It's a very there's a lot to really like about that car. I probably wouldn't get the Polestar engineered ones, although I love the yellow seatbelts. But it kind of fucks the ride up, and it doesn't make it handle better in a way that anyone really needs or cares about, I think.
Well, do you think if you had the one you drove last year, I remember you liked it a lot.
Oh, I liked it a lot. It was just too expensive.
Right, it's too expensive. But would that suspension system made the car feel really out of place on all the twisty stuff you were doing?
No, because it handles fine. I mean, I wasn't flying down these roads. The biggest problem with driving sports cars in Arizona are that there's some incredibly beautiful twisty roads, but they're actually used to connect places, meaning you're sharing them with everybody else. It's not like here where the beautiful twisty roads go fucking nowhere, so you can hit them and you can go. Mm-hmm. Or even there's some places in Northern California that are like that, and there's places in Tennessee like Tail of the Dragon, which no one's just commuting on that road. There's places all over. But in the desert, in Arizona, there are these beautiful roads, but you can't go that fast on them. So it didn't make a difference for that. When you're going fast is these open, kind of maybe some sweepers, Monument Valley type of thing, where you can go pretty quick. There's no one around. No one gives a shit. But the tarmac is a little bumpier. It's not perfect. And the ultimate handling limits aren't there. So I would have preferred to have the one with the air suspension for this drive. And I'm doing the actual trip in the Bentley, the new Bentley GT Speed Hybrid, which I think will be fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll be the exact right car for this. There were not a lot of sports cars that I spotted on this Scout.
Well, what were the temps right now?
Hot.
Yeah.
Scottsdale was 118 degrees.
Yeah, that's not sports car weather. I think, we went to Good Vibes last week. It was 108 degrees down in Pasadena, and I think the attendance was light. I mean, that was a half or third of normal. So I think the temps kind of scare the sports cars away.
Yeah. But I do think this is like for a family, SUV or crossover 5-passenger, very well made, very comfortable, pretty fuel efficient, very flexible. But I'd probably skip the Polestar engineered one. I just don't think it. That's me doing a bone marrow shot.
Oh wow!
This restaurant, once you get the bone marrow, and if you scroll back one, look at this presentation of bone marrow. It was extraordinary. It was bone marrow with like sautéed mushrooms and fucking truffle and shit on top. I mean, it was amazing. And then when you finish the bone marrow, they go, now you got to do a luge. And I go, what's that? And it's like when you use the bone as a fucking luge and do a shot of bourbon. And they pressured me into it. We were sitting at like the chef's counter, and the chef was like, no, you got to do it.
Right, of course, you're going to do it.
Into it. So, and I did not eat the whole meal with the fucking bib like that. Hannah did that because I was certain I was going to drip,
you got
butter,
it,
bone marrow. And yeah, I did. I did not fuck my clothes up. I felt very gluttonous, but I got a round of applause from the rest of the restaurant. They were like, no, everybody does this. I was like, no, they don't.
No. If everybody did it, they wouldn't applaud. They go, yeah, we did that too. That's funny.
Goddamn, that restaurant, Atria. Wow, so good. So good. But that trip's going to be a lot of fun. It is sold out, but it will be it'll be nice. It'll be everything about desert driving that people will expect. The video's up right now for the Z4 manual.
Yep.
Did we talk about it at all on the show before?
I don't think so.
I think we were holding off. I mean, this is, in my opinion, the best BMW on sale right now. I think it is the best looking BMW on sale right now. It drives beautifully. It's fast. It's not as fast as the M2, but it's also not as stiff as the M2, and it's way better looking than the M2. And it doesn't have that big, giant, fucking curved video gaming display gauge.
The simulator monitor.
Oh God, it's got a great balance of being usable every day. Plenty of room, tall drivers. It's roomier inside than the Supra. The materials, the seats were very comfortable. The inputs were really good. The steering feels not perfect. It's a little E-Pass ish, but it's direct. The car does talk to you a bit. It's not Porsche steering, but it's not like hideous. So it's better than Ford steering. Like it's not, the Mustang steering was like no good.
The Dark Horse was disappointing.
Yeah, not good. But it's not Boxster. It's somewhere in between. But it's 3,600 pounds, but it feels pretty light on its feet. It changes direction well. It's not a hardcore canyon car, but it's a great sporty daily that if you wanted to step up from a BRZ or a Nissan Z, it's definitely a step up from that. It's a step down from a 6-cylinder Boxster, but it's probably a step up from a base Boxster, which is the same amount of money. Like, I don't know if I was spending $75,000, which is what this costs as tested, I'd rather have this than a base Boxster because you'd be having a base, like no options Boxster.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Which I don't really want that. But it's, how the manual Supra was like real crazy, like it wanted to like blow the tires off every gear. Mm-hmm. This. It feels pretty much just as fast. Maybe it's a little slower if you had a stopwatch, but it feels on the road just as fast. But it doesn't have that mania of I want wheel spin in 3 gears.
That makes sense given the market.
Yeah.
And, given the the price point, but like what the car is about.
Yeah.
I think the Supra needs to, light the adrenaline nerves a little bit to get people excited about it.
Yeah. And it's, the shifter's good, same as the Supra. The gear ratios are the same as the Supra as far as I could tell. The engine is very well mated to that gearbox. It feels like it doesn't feel like some kind of an afterthought. It feels like this is meant to be like this. And I think I think if people are looking for like a sporty BMW, that they should take a look at this car. It's very nice. Even with the top up, it's pretty well insulated. There's kind of a lot of wind noise with the top down. The Boxster is way better in terms of moving that air around you with the top. Like, you and I drive my car with the top down all the time.
Yeah, you can talk. Yeah.
This is a little louder, and you can hear it in the video. You can actually hear the wind noise in the video, but it's fast. It's a good time. It looks good. It's easy to use. Hannah and I went out to dinner one night. She got, she's still learning stick. Got right in it, no problem. Drove us home, no stalls. Easy for a beginner.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it sounded pretty good on the drive-bys.
Yeah, it
does.
does.
It sounds like a good BMW without, it has a little burble.
Little burble tune.
But it's not
I'd like to get rid of that.
aggressive.
Yeah, it's not angry. And, we've heard enough Supras with exhaust. It's like somebody will probably make an exhaust for this that'll sound, maybe Dynan or Carbon will have a kit for it that might make it. Like, if I was Steve Dynan, I'd make a Carbon kit for this. I bet it would be rad. But I think this is the best BMW for enthusiasts that's on sale right now. I don't think, in a lot of ways, the increase in power to the M2 is that usable on the street compared to this. Like, it is faster. If you turn off traction control on the M2, that thing has way more power than tires.
Oh, yeah.
It was great fun at Thunderhill last year on the track. Like, it was slide fourth gear, which is crazy. But with traction control on, which is how most people are going to drive it, it's no faster than this. It really, it turns power into wheel spin very effectively.
Well, once you got, if you had that next to an M2, once you get into third, and they're hooked up, M2's walking away probably.
It is. Yeah, it is. But, I don't know. To me, the M2 is just so ugly.
I agree. I couldn't own one. I was just speaking of just the horsepower.
Just dynamically, the M2 is faster.
Yeah.
It definitely is. But obviously, the B58 is super tunable.
True.
You could make up that power difference effectively if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. But I'd leave it alone. This car had plenty of power for. You can see in the video, it's a fast car.
Yeah, you can.
It is a fast car. Mm-hmm. It's faster than all Boxsters but the Spider, and I think that the offering of a manual is thank you, BMW, because I'm sure the car's nice with an auto, but a roadster, a fast roadster with a stick, that's great. That's just a great. I had this thing for a week. I probably did 800 miles on it, and I was like, this is so nice. It's so nice that I convinced Dan Pund to put it in Performance Car of the Year this year.
Whoa.
Yeah. He was like, man, we're a little. I was like, Z4 manual. He's like, really? I was like, yes. So it's in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. It's like a fast Miata.
It is. It's not as as quite as pure as the Miata, but what it trades off there is comfort, speed, and if you're over 5'8", you don't want to be dailying a Miata.
No.
It's a hard car to daily. It can be done, but it's not.
It's small.
It's small.
Yeah.
This is a car where if you're 6'3" like me, I could daily this car, and it was very comfortable. I had to take a Ferrari 575 to smog this morning, and the Z4 had more room inside than the 575.
I believe that. That makes sense.
575 didn't pass me.
I know.
A lot of people keep sending in.
Give it to me. I'll figure it out.
They keep sending it in. No, this one, the 575, we plugged it into the OBD scanner, and it said emissions computers ready. And then they plugged it into the state computer, and it said no. It said the air pump needed more cycles. The air pump is the one that does cold starts. So he said it needs 5 to 7 probably ice cold starts. Drive it up to temperature, park it, let it come down. And then the O2 sensor is the one that needs 50, 60 miles of highway driving at about 60 miles an hour. He said not 75 or 80. He said
That's
55, 60.
Oh, boy.
So we have to do both of those now.
That's a lot of, because the cold start, that's a lot. You have to cold start it,
Super
drive
annoying.
it for 10 minutes till it's warm, and then turn off and wait for it to cool down, which takes a
couple hours. Yeah, ice cold.
Yeah.
And because of the value of the car, I'm the only one who's going to do it. So I I don't know. I'm traveling last week, traveling all next week. We got your fucking bachelor party this weekend. Super stoked in Ojai. And then I'm going straight from there to Thunderhill for P. Cody.
Yeah.
So I leave on Friday for your bachelor party. I don't get back until the following Friday. And I'm driving a fucking Spider RS 1,600 fucking miles.
You should just take the 575.
Right?
That would get the job done.
Fucking rad.
More comfortable.
Yeah, so in case I didn't have enough to do in the 3 days that I'm here, I now have to figure out how to do all this. So.
You need to get Vinny approved for driving these cars or something like that.
It's not about approved. It's just like, you know.
I know. We talked about it on the last show.
We talked about it.
If you had to have a discussion with an owner, it's better that it's you.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of work.
Yeah, of course. You know? Most people that run 2 brick and mortar stores, that's their full-time job. That's not their fucking 4th job.
Right.
So, yeah. But the OBD scanner, was a great idea. Everyone that suggested put the car on the scanner, yes. But the scanner fucking lies sometimes. It didn't work.
Does it not have as many whatever parameters as the city or the state one?
Computer, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. We tested that Zolio thing on the hill. It worked. That's good. Shout out to him. That's pretty much all I've got because that's all I've been doing is
nice
running around Arizona.
We have a lot of questions. I got a book that we can read.
A book that we can read to camera. The Driving Machine.
The Driving Machine.
Can you pronounce that person's name? Who wrote it?
We told Rybczynski. I'm going to go with Rybczynski. Final answer, sir.
Rybczynski is about what I would guess.
I mean, I can't. My brain can't. Or
Did you order this book, or was it sent to you?
No, it was sent to me from the publisher, and so I'm interested to read it. But it's The Driving Machine: A Design History of the Car.
Oh, neat.
Because obviously things have changed quite a bit. So wanted to show that, and now we can go to.
Let's go to the Patreon. If you want to ask us questions for the show, if you want to get an ad-free listening experience, if you want to get the show early, if you want an extra show every week, then patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. Also, if you want to reduce our reliance on ads, we talked about ads and how shitty a universe that is right now last week. And if you want to help us, you can get something for yourself and also help keep this train running. Patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. Jack Cusano says, going to the Audrain Motor Week. Do you recommend any specific events? Yeah, all of them. I mean, I don't know what they've changed in the 2 years since I've been, but there's only like one big event per day. And I think I recommend buying the ticket that gets you to all of them. I don't remember the names of each thing, but there's like there's a thing on Thursday that's like at one of those mansions that's sort of their version of a quail. Like they've and I mean this in the kindest way, they've sort of copied Pebble, right? So there's a thing that's sort of like the quail. There's a Tour d'Elegance with all the cars that are going to be in the concourse. There's a Cars and Coffee that happens at the big fort there in Newport. There's an actual concourse on Sunday, and then there's all these there's like some live podcasts and like lectures. There's like the charity ball that happens at the Tennis Hall of Fame, which is pretty cool. So, I mean, I would say go to whatever your budget will bear. If you can get the ticket that covers all the main events, then I would do that. We got that, and it was very fun. And then make sure you get restaurant reservations to eat all them oysters and shit. Because Newport is what the fuck is up.
Black Pearl?
The Black Pearl. The clam chowder.
Love that place.
It's fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. If a place has been serving seafood for 300 years, you're probably not going to get food poisoning from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun week. I don't remember the names of the specific events. But like the main event every day, you should go to that. The Cars and Coffee was crazy. It was huge. It was like 2,000 cars.
Whoa.
Ryan Hayes, any experience with Austin Healey 3000s? Never driven one, never fucked with one. They look great.
They look great. I heard a story. I went to dinner recently with a PR rep and some other friends, and one of the reps, his story is very quick. He bought one for like 40 10 years ago. He's put 35 into it, and now it's worth 35. Like, there's no market for Austin Healey's.
Yeah.
So, yes, they are cool.
Yeah.
And if you watch the Goodwood revival footage, like an Austin Healey was out there just rain drifting like a champion.
Yeah.
I think they're probably fun to drive, but it doesn't sound like it's a good investment.
Not investment
So
grade.
just know that.
Yeah.
And parts and things are expensive.
Yeah. Gabe says, what's the slowest car that you would still consider to be fast? Or rather, what are each of your thresholds for considering a car to be fast? That's a good question. Because there's a few factors, right? It's like there's your power and your weight, right? There's your top speed. There's a 0 to 60 or a quarter mile
cornering
time.
speed, because I think defining fast. Are we going with straight line where we go, this feels quick enough, or are we talking about like the BRZ TS has really high cornering speed, which can feel fast, but 0 to 60 is meh. Whereas the GR Corolla, I think, in a straight line, feels pretty quick. I would say that feels fast.
Yeah, I mean, I think if a car is like under, let's say, if it's under like 3,500 pounds, so it's a relatively small, relatively light car, there's going to be people like, 3,500 pounds. No, okay?
These days
Modern
it's
cars,
light, yeah.
under 3,500 pounds, over 300 horsepower, feels pretty quick.
Yeah.
Elantra N, it's like 3,200 pounds and 300 horsepower.
Yeah.
That's a fast car.
Yeah.
That car will go pretty good.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because considering that market of car 20-ish years ago would have 180 horsepower and barely be able to do 120 miles per hour. So Elantra N, that's a good track car too.
Yeah. So, and then if it's, 3,500 to 3,800, I'd say, 400 horsepower is probably fast.
Yeah, and like the new Mustang GTs have 480, and that is a very fast automobile.
Sure.
Even though they're pretty heavy.
I would say, like, if a car can do 0 to 60, and I don't really care about 0 to 60 in terms of the launches and stuff like that, but as a measure of speed, if it can do 0 to 60 in a number that starts with a 4 or lower, if it can run a quarter mile in 12s or lower, that to me feels like a pretty fast car.
I think front-wheel drive cars struggle with the 0 to 60, but I think if they have if they can pull from 20 to 100 in whatever reasonable time, it's pretty quick.
And I talk about this in the Z4 video. There's I usually try to when I'm thinking about a fast car, the problem with numbers in testing sometimes is they don't tell the whole story. Because when I'm driving a car on a track or a drag strip, shift times and traction on the launch are very important. Whereas in a canyon or even a track day, the shift times and the launch are far less important. And so, there's a car, someone did a drag race with a Demand Boxster and a GT3 RS. And the GT3 RS, and it was basically the same speed in the straight line. It's like, well, the Demand Boxster was a manual. So this, the lightning quick speed of launch control, a rear engine car on the launch, and PDK.
And perfect shifting.
That's probably, in a quarter mile, it's probably half to 3/4 of a second. It's if not more. It's a big difference. Whereas and to circle it back, with the manual Supra, I said this, and with the Z4, does it feel fast in gear? Put it in fucking third and smash it. Does it fucking put me back in the seat? And then I understand I'm going to slow, lift to shift and whatever versus And
that's kind of like what we talked about with the Purosangue versus like a DBX 707. The cars with the turbocharged V8s feel fast from 2,000 RPM. They put you back in your seat, whereas high revving NA engine, you got to get way up into the power band. Yeah.
But my 328 felt like a pretty fast car. You had to work to drive it fast. But if you actually kept it between 5 and 8, it was 2,900 pounds and 300 horsepower. The fucking thing went pretty good. So, but it's 0 to 60 was like 7.2 or something.
Tall gearing too, right?
Yeah, really tall gearing. So really tall gearing, and then a dog leg 1-2 shift that took forever. So Christian, I don't know what that bike is. Is that an electric bike? BMW CE04. Can we review that? It's this weird electric scooter thing. I'd like to. I don't understand why they do these scooters that have no storage. Unless that whole thing under the seat is storage, and I just don't know about it.
Or they want to sell you an accessory box.
But I mean, I've never seen one of those in accessory
12 grand though?
I've never seen one of those on the street.
That looks very Judge Dredd.
It does look super Judge Dredd. It looks cool, like respect for the design, but how can you go to range and charging on the top left of the screen? This is an electric BMW scooter, scooter/motorcycle that
80 miles range.
That's not bad. Really, it's 50. If it says 80 and I'm riding the fucking thing, it's 50. But 50 on a scooter is not bad. So this says it's a mode 2 charging, blah, blah, blah.
3.5 hours from 0 to 80% using 220 volt.
Yeah, 2.3 kilowatt. What is, does it say the power? Doesn't necessarily say the power.
Oh, of the vehicle.
I wonder how fast it goes. If this thing will do 70, which with those kind of wheels, it really would be nice. It looks like it's probably fun to ride. But the most important thing to me about my scooter is that cargo box on the back. It makes it so practical. Last night, took it to the grocery store, 2 full bags of groceries in there. And that's the biggest difference. Oh, here we go. 42 horsepower output, 80-mile range, 2.6 seconds from 0 to 30, 65 minutes from 0 to 80% using a level 2 charger. I bet it's fun as shit to ride. That's 42 horsepower. My Vespa is 26.
Yeah, ooh.
That's quick. That thing is probably moving pretty good.
I'm sure.
I bet it's a ton of fun.
It'll definitely do freeway speeds, though.
I bet it's a ton of fun. But it's 2.5 times the price of my Vespa.
Yeah.
Which is very hard. My Vespa will do 80 miles on a tank of gas and 80 miles on a tank and a tank in the city. I mean, it's like a 1.6 gallon tank, and I can get 80 miles light to light.
That's the hard sell for me on the EV motorcycles and scooters and things. And I totally recognize that the power band would be super fun.
Yeah.
But the cost is always like north of 10 grand.
Yeah.
And I mean, how many tanks could you fill in yours before you make up that price delta? I mean, it's years and years and years and years and years.
I'm putting in $3.
Right. You get 80 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
We're talking about $3 to $5 to fill this thing up. I'm in and out of the gas station in 25 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm in and out of the gas station in so fast that I don't even take my helmet off. Like it's just it solves a non-problem, even though the design is cool. Like, I think this is why I've not seen them. The scooters I see predominantly on the street are either Vespa brand, or they're like the Yamaha ones, or they're the Chinese Vespa knockoff ones. Like, because people who want scooters for the most part are not trying to spend a lot of money.
Right. Remember that I was going to test that prototype scooter thing, but they took it back because it was so broken.
Yeah.
And it will go unnamed. They said they wanted to charge 10 grand for those. And it's like it seems like so much money to replace a vehicle that is normally very cheap. Or
and it's not like a
cheap.
Vespa isn't like fashionable.
Right.
Like Vespas are fashionable things. If you dress fucking cool, you're on a Vespa, that's fashion. Not me, but somebody, in theory. So a real super designy scooter that's like 10 grand, it's like, who the fuck is buying this?
I don't know.
I do think that BMW one looks pretty cool, though. We should try that. Maybe I'll try to get one. T-Bone Mendez wants a used British GT car for 80 grand or less. Would you get a last edition DB9 or a Continental Coupe from the similar year? Occasional daily driving and long road trips. I'd probably take the Bentley.
Well, I'd go Aston just because I like them. I think they're better looking. Also, the engine is simpler than in the Conti. That might be beneficial. I don't know what the reliability would be.
2016, you can get a V8S, I think.
Oh, that's true. That's a good engine.
Yeah.
I mean, I would look up the consumer reports and reliability of both of them because it's going to be expensive. But I would personally go DB9 just because I wouldn't be able to walk away from it. They're so pretty.
Yeah. Michael Cosgrove is picking up his Boxster GTS at the Porsche Experience Center soon. Yeah. Before road tripping it back home to Maryland. Interested in the 3 routes that we wrote about in R&T. Are all 3 easily doable on a Friday? Yeah,
all
I mean it's a lot of.
three?
It would be a lot of driving. I mean, you could.
Yeah. Well, what's the transit between?
If you woke up early, I mean.
Well, wait, which route you did? What'd you do?
I
for
did the north.
McLaren, yeah.
I did the Lake Hughes Road.
Yeah.
Spunky Loop. And then we did the main like good vibes route, right? And then you did the 39 to GMR.
Well, the good news is, yeah, you work west to east.
You work your way west to east. It would be all day.
It would, because your transit from Lake Hughes over to Angeles Crest on a Friday is going to be an hour at least. And then your transit from
you could link them from on top. You could link them from Lancaster.
Okay, then do that. Michael, don't go back into LA if you don't have to.
Okay, Michael, send me an email and I will make you the route that will link them. It's not hard. I don't do that for everybody, but if you have a specific, I want to start here and end here, which it seems you do, I will make you a custom route that will cover those roads and will link them together. It is possible. Okay, wow. Lots of words from Flannel Bob here. Okay, complex question, but important for me as a combat veteran struggling with PTSD. Okay. Okay, I see your whole story here basically boils down to driving cars and things and with wheels help soothe your PTSD in a certain way. Do you know of any car-specific organizations that utilize the shared love of driving and automobiles as a tool for improving mental health and overall well-being? I don't, but that sounds like a good idea.
It's a very good idea because, again, when I was at the school, this firefighter, he had gone on a motorcycle version of that, which was like off-road motorcycle trip for people that are either first responders or military and like dealing with PTSD. So the fact that it exists for off-road motorcycles, I would bet there's one for vehicles. And if there's not, I mean, not to dump something on your plate, Bob, like to start something, but that seems like it would be a fantastic thing to do.
Yeah, it seems like a good idea. It might be. You might not have to do a whole organization. There might be like maybe
track days or something.
For veterans, for motorcycle track days, yeah. It seems like there's a few of those. That's a good idea. If there, I've never heard of one, but
wait, I think this. Oh, here we go.
The Veterans Trust Race Experience.
That looks like a Skippy Mustang.
That does look like a Skip Barber Mustang, or possibly Miller Motorsports Park. But yeah, programs. Let's see what they have here. Yeah. Race experience, race camp. Yeah, look at that. Race, we go up.
Oh, sorry.
Race camp and an alternative therapy program, excuse me, focusing on veteran wellness and race instruction. So there's one.
Nice. So there's at least one. The
Veterans
one. Trust.
Yeah.
And Fubar Studios. Whoa. Oh, this is like, what are they called? Like those oval shit.
Altered. I think it's called an altered.
Yeah.
Cool.
So there are some.
Okay. What have we next? Associate Bob, would I ever want to do a driver's dial watch with notice? Maybe. I don't know. Those are the ones where the dial is tilted so that if you're holding your hands like this, it's up. And the problem is I'd have to do a lefty and a righty one. It's two separate versions of a watch because I wear the watch on my right hand. I've never seen a driver's dial that's tilted for my right hand.
So
they're all.
Do they put the 12 o'clock at the 10 position?
Basically, yeah. Basically. So if your hands are like this, it's up.
I guess I don't see the benefit.
It made a difference in the 1950 fucking Millia, where you really had to have your hands on the wheel and you really had to see the time at the same time. It does not make any difference.
I can still, but if I'm wearing a watch, I can still see the time and I know where the 12 is.
Yeah.
It would probably be harder for me to rewire my brain to look for the 12 in a different place.
It might be, yeah. There's a couple different versions of the driver's dial watch. Vacheron is the famous one, and they're very, very expensive.
Okay.
It's not something I've ever thought about because it's not something I've ever needed. I've never needed to know the time that badly while my hand cannot be taken off the wheel, you know. But I understand why you would ask, and it could be fun. But the fact that I have to make it would have to be two different watches because they would have to tilt the dial both ways.
Right.
So, good thought. Scroll down. Old Rusty Bimmer. Oh, we turned him on to Some More News, and I saw the Tim Pool episode. Yeah, that's a fucking... Yeah, it's not great. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was a big story.
Yeah, what Old Rusty Bimmer is talking about is not just... You should watch the Some More News that's called Tim Pool World's Worst Guesser, because it's just about just endless streams of Tim Pool predictions that are so fucking far off of reality. But yeah, this was about the Russians funneling money through a shell company, which then funneled the money through a U.S.-based company called Tenet Media, which then hired somewhere between 3 and 6 right-wing influencers to basically share Russian propaganda talking points.
Yeah, there were some existing YouTube channels,
Yeah.
and they basically approached these channels. And the channels weren't huge.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, we're going to give you this much money per year, which was way more than they were making on RevShare,
Yeah.
apparently. And it's just like, but, here's some talking points and some program. I mean, they basically became like the news director,
Right.
And those are the reporters. And like today's story would be this. And,
Right.
yeah.
And on the surface, it was like a licensing agreement where Tenet Media was offering to license. It was like Dave Rubin and Tim Pool and a couple other people to license their content to share onto Tenet Media. But then there's also like these emails asking the content creators to like hit certain talking points, and it's basically Russian propaganda because it was all funneled through the Russia Today, but under like multiple shell companies, and the influencers themselves are not charged with any crimes.
Right.
They're actually considered victims, although they may be forced to return the money. It's possible. I watched you ever watch Legal Eagle? I liked Legal Eagle. Legal Eagle is a lawyer that basically covers internet drama and the legal implications. So like Logan Paul suing CoffeeZilla and all this stuff. He goes through like these cases.
Got it.
And he basically tells you, and shout out to Legal Eagle. We should get him on the show,
Sure.
actually. But wait, there was a question. Scroll back up. There was a question attached to this. The question was, yes, you guys have a lot of experience in the podcast media space. Isn't it relatively common to pay people to promote your views? $100K a week to literally read Russian propaganda from a script is probably extreme, but media personalities compensated to amplify the views of the person cutting the check is more or less how this works. No, it depends. For an influencer, yes, that is definitely how it works. We consider ourselves journalists. And so with the Smoking Tire podcast, with the Smoking Tire YouTube channel, there are ads. Absolutely. There are going to be ads in this podcast. The ads have absolutely nothing to do with the editorial content of the podcast. Never have, never will. Same with the YouTube channel. You're never going to see an ad you're never going to see BMW paying us to review their car. You're going to see an ad for a fucking vacuum cleaner in the BMW thing. And so it'll be, for us anyway, it'll be extremely clear that this is our opinion. And yes, there is editorial consideration, meaning they lend us a press car. Yes, there is, quote, value there. They maybe fly us somewhere to do the thing. And we declare all that shit in the video. It'll say, BMW lent us the vehicle, insurance, and the tank of gas. Porsche flew me to Spain to do this because there would be no way to make up that money the other way. It's just not possible. But
I would say the only thing, we've done one of these that was sort where like Salesforce, I think, sponsored a segment.
And we declared it.
Right? No,
right
we declared it up front.
Yeah, yeah.
And they just gave us data on how dealership and customer experiences were, and we literally just like off-air read the document, and then we discussed how unhappy customers were with dealerships.
Yes.
So they didn't tell us, here's what you say. They were like, just talk about this data.
But it was absolutely declared
100%.
very clearly, the next 10 minutes of this show are
Yeah.
sponsored by this.
Right.
And so what the implication here is that people being paid to promote others' views, if you're talking about influencers, 100%.
Well, and what's been really, I think, hard for viewers is if you're a U.S.-based influencer, there was that law that was passed, I don't know now, 9 years ago, FCC, where you have to put hashtag ad, hashtag sponsorship in posts that are sponsored. But if you are an influencer who does not live in the United States, that may not be the case.
Yeah.
So you should be very careful if you consume influencer media that live in other places, and if the content seems like it might be paid for, but they're not disclosing that.
And there are a lot of people who take money to say things and then don't disclose it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to make it my job to narc on people. Like, everyone's got their own fucking gig, but it is bad. I mean, we leave money on the table by having a fucking some kind of moral compass. And is our moral compass, are we monks? Is it 100% perfect? No. It would be great if we could fly ourselves to press launches and stay in our own hotel and drive the car but never take anything at all. But they're facilitating the opportunity to drive the car. It's pretty well understood in our industry that that's kind of how it works. And I think it's generally agreed upon that it's okay to take a flight in a hotel to drive a car that you can't drive any other way. And so we do. But yeah, if you're going to call yourself a journalist, you shouldn't be taking money from the things for your opinions.
Right.
For sure. And also, you should never listen to Tim Pool about anything. He is a fucking loser, that guy.
I don't know who he is.
Oh, God. Watch the Some More News about Tim Pool. It's
Okay.
fucking brutal. This guy's a fucking dipshit extraordinaire. Even in a world full of these fucking dipshits, this guy is absolutely king dipshit. Philip LaFranca, is there an issue with supercharger crowding in California? I have a Model 3 in Atlanta and travel a lot in the Southwest. Chargers are always almost. I don't think Tesla superchargers are crowded.
They've never looked excessively crowded, especially because I don't think the expansion into other OEMs has gone very well into allowing them to charge there.
Yeah.
So that might cause overcrowding.
Wait, you're saying they made a big splash of announcing something and then fucking slow walked the shit out of it later?
Well, they fired their supercharger team, so that's going to cause some issues.
There was a Rivian charging at a Tesla charger when we did Performance Electric Vehicle of the Year. I find that charger crowding happens more at Electrify America chargers.
Yeah.
In very busy areas
Yes.
where you have a lot of EV adoption and not enough public charging.
Because when we've charged at Harris Ranch, for example, how many Tesla superchargers are there? 20 more, and EV Go or whatever, there's 8.
Yeah.
So right there, it's just supply and demand.
Or just right over here at the mall, there's probably 20 Tesla chargers, and I think there's 6 Electrify America 150s, and there's always a line for the 150s. I did read this past week, 25% of all the EV chargers, public EV chargers that exist, were built in the last 12 months.
Whoa.
So this is a problem that is rapidly being addressed.
Cool.
And we talked to someone who was in charger maintenance when we were doing Performance Electric Car of the Year, and there has been more funding allocated towards maintaining and upgrading these chargers. So it is getting better. My last 2 EV road trips have gone pretty well. Aside from us miscalculating our range usage in the Lucid, that wasn't the charge network's fault.
No.
That was our bad math and our impatience.
Well, and that huge traffic jam.
Yeah, but it's getting better for sure. Yeah. Tim A says, "What are some we didn't know what we had cars from the last 25 years? Cars that were overlooked when new, but we'll never get again."
I mean, most cars with NA engines and manuals. I mean, that's the easy answer, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't really like the V10 M5. I think it looks like garbage. The one, but that's a pretty special thing. Manual V10 sedan.
Yeah,
or
didn't sell well.
Right, or the S6 back then. Remember they had the V10 S6 for a little bit.
Yeah, with the Huracan engine.
Right,
the
stuff like
engine. I think those are great examples. I mean, any of those analog manual transmission cars from 2000 to 2010, they were pitching these fucking dual clutch boxes and single clutch automated boxes as being the future. But when we got to the future, what we really seek now is this sort of level of engagement that you don't get with a lot of those cars. The R34 Skyline. I mean, we knew those were great, but the R35 ain't nothing like it.
I would argue, though, like BMW nowadays, you can get all-wheel drive inline six turbocharged cars that, and I'm going to piss off so many people right now, like you can get a lot of the R34 experience in terms of acceleration and all-wheel drive feel from brands now because turbocharging has become so ubiquitous. Now, I've driven an R34. It feels super special, but I drove it and I went, oh, this feels like a turbocharged all-wheel drive M3.
Right.
In terms of build, smoothness, all those things.
Well, when I bought my 1990 R32, I was like, this feels like a 2015 335i.
Yeah.
But it was 30 years before that.
Yeah, and that's why they're so special.
Yeah.
And they look awesome. They
Yeah.
look way better than modern BMWs, of course.
Yeah.
But I think the flavors that we're seeing go away really quick are NA engines, manual transmissions, of course.
The abandoning of the Acura NSX. If there was a proper second generation NSX, if they had continued that, that would have been probably great. Tim suggested the V12 Vantage with a dog-leg manual. That car today would be a limited edition one-off. I mean, yeah, the V12. Well, I would not say the V12 Vantage was overlooked. That car was fucking rad, and they didn't sell a ton of them because, not a lot of people wanted $250,000 Vantages at the time, but it was I didn't overlook it. I reviewed that car.
Amazing.
It was fucking amazing.
Well, and they held their value too. They're real expensive.
Yeah. Shit. What did we not know what we had until it was gone?
Good-looking BMWs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, now, like with the new C63, they said they'll bring back the V8, but the current one, you gotta look back at the twin turbo V8s or the NA ones and go, man, that was the best time.
Saabs, like Swedish-made Saabs.
We drove that Vigan back in the day, and we were shocked it was kind of slow, and the tuned one was a mess and was slow.
Yeah, but there's still a wonderful character about those
That's
cars.
true. They are interesting.
Yeah.
And the greenhouse is almost unparalleled.
Yeah.
Outside of a convertible.
Fucking pickup trucks that you could see out of, like normal-sized pickup trucks.
Haven't they shown it's the height that's changed a lot, right?
Yeah.
With modern trucks, the length and whatnot hasn't actually gotten that crazy.
Right.
It's just the height.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Randy says thoughts on the final episode of the Grand Tour.
I did not
watch.
out? It came out last night. I thought it came out today.
Oh,
but it came out last night.
I did not watch
so I'm
it.
gonna watch
I'll watch it. We'll circle back on that one. Zach Flatman.
I like that.
A 2023 WRX that I just paid off, looking to add a weekend car that gives a more analog driving experience and is semi-reliable for under $50K. Mostly driven in Colorado, mountain roads, and around town. I'm eyeing two pretty different options, a first-gen Viper or an air-cooled G-Body 911. I've always liked both, but have never driven either car. Okay, so both of those cars are going to need things. A Viper from the 90s will probably be reliable in terms of the fact that, like, the powertrain is very robust and it's simple. The gearbox is the Tremec. The fucking engine it's a van engine, basically. Like, it's like, that'll work. But I bet there's a bunch of rubber bits on the Viper that are probably dry rotted to shit and need to be replaced, and they're going to be horrifyingly expensive.
Hard to find.
Really hard to find. Yeah, maybe hard to find, or maybe easy to find, but expensive. I'm not really sure, but like that's the thing you want to look into. 80s 911s is sub 50K 80s 911. You're not getting a good one. Not in this world. I mean, prices have come down, yes, but a good G-Body 911 that doesn't have maintenance needs and is the kind of one, you know, like you could get one in the 40s but like you're going to be running up against a $15,000 service or something like, you know, it might need a top end rebuild soon. It's $18,000.
And $50,000 is a good chunk of money. When we were looking at, what was it, 991 cabs the other day, I mean, those were like near there, right?
I mean, and that's the thing. The thing is the market has benefited you as a buyer for like water cooled cars.
Right.
So you can get a 997S or a 991 Carrera for that kind of money.
And if you're in Colorado at altitude, it might be helpful to have a turbocharged car. I know you have one already with a WRX, so if you want NA,
but like,
sure.
Pull up, bring a trailer real quick. Let's look at some completed listings for go to, just look at, oh, wow, Koenig Twin Turbos BBI. No, we'll come back to that. Okay. Go to Porsche 911, and it'll be, and we'll find a G-body car. So we'll look at there we go. We'll go to, let's go to a 911 SC, bottom left, probably what we want here. And then let's look up results, and let's see what has sold. Go down to results. Let's see what's sold recently. 82 SC. Okay, so there are cars in the 40s. 79 SC Targa 5-speed. Okay, go down. Oh, bid to sold. So let's see if it's sold. Oh, so the cabs are cheap. Oh, these, you know, SCs have come down. Sold for 40. Okay, so I stand corrected. You can definitely get an SC in the 40s. I would make sure that you have 10 to 15,000 on the side for maintenance, like for imminent maintenance,
like right away.
Like right away needs, because every one of these cars needs $15,000 of something. So, I'd probably rather drive an SC than a first-gen Viper. Every time I look at a first-gen Viper, I go, these would be cool. And we have one down at South Bay, and I had to move it. I just had to move it around. Didn't even go out and drive. Just moved it around the lot the other day because we're doing all the lights down there. And I was like, no. This looks great in a photo. Yeah. I do not want to be driving this thing.
They have an attitude for sure. Lane Skelton had a great attitude, though, about his air-cooled car. I was like, oh, how long have you had this? And he goes, it's fine. I go, what do you mean? He goes, everyone talks about these like they're the fucking gift from God. He's like, they're fine. They're expensive and they're not that fast. It's a car.
Yeah, but they do offer a pretty unique driving experience.
They do. No, like, it's just so funny.
A Viper is just a more interesting Corvette. Like, the experience is the same.
Yeah.
It's worse than a Corvette in a lot of ways, but it looks and sounds more interesting, and there's more to talk about.
True.
You know, you show up in a 95 Corvette or a 95 Viper, you're a vastly more interesting person in the Viper. Mm-hmm. But with an air-cooled car, they're built really, really well. They feel like they're built well.
There's no rattles.
And they have a very unique driving experience that is not available from any other car.
True.
And that is nice. Mm-hmm. And they fucking, because they're air-cooled, like they don't overheat when it gets hot. You know, like there's a reason people use those things as cars, like all the time in LA or whatever, in traffic. Like you can literally put so many miles on them. But to keep them the way they're supposed to be, the maintenance is very expensive.
Yeah.
All-wheel drive bias says, I'm interested to hear what the strategy is for putting out those compilation videos. Are you able to spill the beans? Sure. The way to get views on your videos today is to get on YouTube's homepage and to be recommended by YouTube. Subscribers don't matter. Watch time doesn't matter anymore. What matters is getting on YouTube's homepage. The vast majority of YouTube watchers now just type in youtube.com and see the videos that YouTube is recommending to them. And because of YouTube's algorithm, which knows what videos you've watched in the past, it will recommend videos in general that it thinks that you will like. It will also recommend videos that it wants you to see in between those. That could be a video from a new creator that they want to give extra juice to. It could be videos from people who've paid for boost placement. Or the other thing they're favoring is live streams. So live streams will come up at the top if there's an ongoing live stream. So there's a hack it's not like illegal or anything, but there's a hack there's this company that we're working with that takes a bunch of our existing videos and turns them into compilations and runs them as if they are a live stream, which puts our videos for 8 or 10 or 12 hours at the very top of youtube.com. The hope is that people will watch the videos that are on the top of that thing. They'll watch the ads, we'll get money. They may subscribe to the channel. They may get more videos. They may watch those videos and see the what's next thing. And so that's the point. The point is to present as if you're doing a live stream without actually doing a live stream. Is it stupid? Yeah, it's fucking stupid. It is. It's stupid that we have to do this because they keep moving the goalposts. And like, it's not what I wanted to do. Like, this wouldn't be our first choice, but like the people who study the data are like, hey, here's how to take advantage of YouTube's current like rules. Okay. Ivan says, who has the best current lineup, Ferrari or Lamborghini? Well, I haven't driven Lamborghini's 2 newest sports cars. I'm driving Revuelto next week for Performance Car of the Year. And I haven't tried, obviously, Temerario.
Right, nobody has.
The 296 is good. Very good.
Yeah.
The Pro Sangway is pretty good.
I mean, I think an Urus is a better vehicle to use frequently.
Yeah, so if we go by category, Urus versus Pro Sangway, Urus wins.
Yeah.
Revuelto versus SF90.
I'd have to drive the
Revuelto. I haven't driven the Revuelto yet. I can let you know next week. My guess will be Revuelto, but I'm not really sure. Again, 296 versus Temerario. Haven't driven it, so we don't really know.
296 versus Huracan, though, like Huracan Evo or something. I mean, that's pretty close. Huracan sounds awesome.
Yeah.
A little more attitude. I mean, the one that just showed up, that blue, you had a customer bring in a new one. It's an Evo that's blue, and it is an awesome, sparkly, deep blue.
Oh, so, Spider?
But the 296 is just such a good driving car.
Yeah.
It's really impressive.
And then Ferrari has the 812, which Lamborghini does not have. The 812 is exceptional.
Yeah. And then there's also the Roma, which we can get to in a minute because someone asked about it. But like that thing drives wonderfully. It looks depends on which angle, in my opinion. But I think Ferrari has the stronger overall lineup. But that's partly because we haven't driven every Lambo.
Tough to answer without driving the newest ones. Let's see. Christian says, my girlfriend rented a Roma and test drove an LC500. We thought the Ferrari was dull, didn't sound good, and the interior was average. What is the appeal we're missing? I mean, did you drive it like fast on the mountain?
That's the thing.
Like, it's probably not that fun if you're not going like real fast, but if you're going fast, that thing is fucking fast.
It's super fast. The steering's light but accurate and talkative. I mean, that car feels like it weighs less than it does. Whereas if you drive the LC500 fast, it will feel heavy and not shine. So if you guys cruise
the
around,
LC500 makes a great sound.
It's a great sound. It's a great GT car. It's a great car in the city. But you have to drive the Roma fast to really appreciate it.
Yeah, the Roma's probably not that interesting if you're just cruising around in it. And the interior is now if you're driving a rental car,
good point.
Lot of factors there. I don't like the haptic shit in the Roma at all.
No.
But dynamically, it has very good balance.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Dave Cucci, what's a better DCT, the Elantra N or the GLI/GTI? Just talking about the transmission?
Yeah.
Tie. I mean, I don't think that. You know what I hate about the Volkswagen one? The slop when you put it in park. You have to put it rock. You have to put it in park and pull the handbrake. In the Hyundai, park is park, and it clamps it.
Yeah.
I don't like the slop in the Volkswagen one.
I feel like they're both good. I haven't really had problems with either one of them.
They're both fine for their purpose. Neither one would make me buy or not buy the car because of that. There's a lot of. I think the Hyundai Elantra N is more exciting to drive than a GLI or GTI. The engine's better.
Well, on track, I mean, you showed like if the tires are the same, it's just as fast as a CTR, Type R, which is really impressive.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true of the GTI.
No.
But I think the GTI is a better looking car than the Elantra by a huge margin.
Better looking, yeah.
And like
for sure.
I could probably live with it for a longer amount of time, but the Elantra hauls ass.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. BA Junkie, any tips on how to lay out a cross-country route recommendation for planning site or app that accommodates sightseeing and driving experience? Isn't there that Curves
Yeah.
There's one called Curves that helps you find like windy road, right? Is it My Curves? No. Map? Yeah, Curves. It's called... No, that's not right.
That's not it.
Wait, go up. What's curvature? Plan curvy motorcycle routes with curvature. That's It's German. I mean, here's the thing. With a very small amount of work, you can do this in Google Maps. You don't need a special app. You can put point A and point B, and it will give you the most efficient or direct route. And then you just drag the line to like curvy roads. You put in your hard points. This is how I make routes for road and track. What is it?
Curvature.
Oh, curvature.
Roadcurvature.com is one website that will help you highlight twisty roads. But we haven't really used it, so we don't know how easy or hard it is to use. Sorry, continue with the Google Maps.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to find this because I knew the name was close. And yeah, like you can zoom in on the maps, and this will, literally highlight in bright colors, hey, these roads are really twisty.
Yeah.
But I don't know how the route planning goes. You'd have to look into that. The website has a lot of how to use and how it works type of shit. But Google Maps is great because it's just, it's the king, right? It's the king.
So easy.
They have so much data. They have so many things. And what's great about Google Maps is you can zoom out, find a twisty road, and then drop a pin for Street View to look like we did this all the time for production. We would look at the tarmac.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's dirt or sometimes it's cracked and fucked up.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, I don't want to go to that road. And then you can zoom right back out and look around and find a different one.
It's very, very easy because when you make a route, just go to Google Maps real quick. We'll just do this right now. Did this person... So if you go to Google Maps, let's just say we're going to go from... Let's say we're going to go from, and get rid of the satellite. Just go to map. Let's say we're going to go from Las Vegas to Salt Lake City. That's a good one. So directions, or Salt Lake City to Las Vegas. Who gives a shit? Whatever. So we're sharing our screen, right?
I'm going to now. I just wanted to make sure our addresses weren't up there.
Here's the way that it gives you. Okay. Now let's say we wanted to find some curvy roads. So we can basically go zoom in on sort of around Beaver. And look, I see there's a nice curvy road there that goes to the east through Boulder. You see Boulder right there, Capitol Reef National Park. So Zach, just grab the line off the 15 freeway and just drag it over to the right. Keep going. Yeah. Boom. Now we have a route. Now, the problem with this is if you want to share this to your phone, it will not do the route you just made. It will take you back to the shortest one. So what you have to do is right-click a couple of places along the route. Right-click, hit Add Destination. Now do another one down at the bottom, sort of near where it maybe right around there where it gets off the highway. Add Destination. So you can see it's adding them in there, and those will come up as waypoints. So now if you share this route to your phone, or you copy the link and email it to yourself, send directions to your phone, now it'll have you go that route instead of, and every time you get to one of those little waypoints that you've made, you'll have to hit continue on your screen, on your GPS, but that's okay. But that is a curvy road.
Do they still have a maximum number of destinations you can put? It used to be 10.
10.
Got it.
So it's 10, but it's each leg. So
right.
If 10 for one drive leg is a lot.
It is a lot.
Actually.
I just want to let them know you can't plan a coast to coast on one map.
No,
you'll have to do maybe
day
days.
1, day 2, day 3. But I just did this for the road and track.
Of course.
So because we use Rallista, which is easier for a big group of people to do, but if I'm making my own route and I'm willing to do the click through the continues, like I made it like that, and I have to do a couple click throughs, but that's how you can. And then what you do basically, now we switch to satellite view, so we've got a curvy route, switch to satellite view. So now let's go find a section of that road, Zach, that's highlighted that looks like it might be fun to drive. Zoom in somewhere where there's curves. Oh, that's a nice, look at that. Let's go to that section. We'll just zoom in there and then pick a spot. And
it does look nice.
That looks nice. It's got curves. Let's click on that. And now we'll pull up the street view and see what the quality of the tarmac is. Ooh, that looks nice.
We should go here.
I've been there.
Capitol
Reef, yeah, Capitol Reef National Park. Yeah, I photographed there. Yeah. So that looks like that's going to be a nice drive. So there you go. That's how you make a route in Google Maps. Now, there are other fucking bits of software that can do this, but like Google Maps goes to your CarPlay. You know, it's like it is the gold standard for a reason. So, yeah, you're limited to 10 checkpoints. And then here's the other secret. When you make this route, when you pull it up into your CarPlay to start it, you pull it up on your phone, you edit the waypoints, and you go to the starting point where it says Salt Lake City there on the map, but on your phone, you click on that and you get rid of that and replace it with my current location. Because if you're not exactly in the middle of Salt Lake City or whatever,
then it'll send you there first.
It'll send you there first. So, and then it'll do the rest of the waypoints. Yeah. So that is how you make a route in Google Maps. Was that it for today's show?
That is it.
Well, that's it for show number 1. We got a double header today, folks. We're going to be coming back at 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, and we're going to be talking about money.
With John McGuire.
The
CPA.
algorithm loves money. So we got John McGuire, the accountant, in here to tell us how to not get fucked buying a car, right? Mm-hmm. That's
and
the
there's
idea.
Some new things with EV buying, some new credit stuff. Credits came, credits went. So we want to talk about that stuff. And,
right.
Yeah, a bunch of things.
Well, thank you for listening. Thanks to our patrons. Subscribe to the Patreon, of course, at patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. And we'll see you in 90 more minutes. Bye.